The Lunaverse. Episode 8, Chapter 4, Rainbow Double Dash, The Ling from Another World. Chapter 4, Cinephanes. Snails, Twist, and Pipsqueak into two dinkies stood inside a Green Grape's shack, the former three staring at the latter two, who alternated between looking at their friends and each other. Well, one of them alternated looking between her friends and the other dinky. The other one was simply looking at her meals. Twist knew, maybe sizing them up, trying to decide who was the tastiest. The trick was finding out which one that was, and very quickly, because Pipsqueak was small and Snails was lanky, and Dinky was sort of average size. Twist, meanwhile, was a little plump, so he probably looked delectable. Though then again, either the Dinky she found with Pipsqueak was real, or the one that she had been with Snails was real. In either case, the monster had been alone with one of them for quite some time, but hadn't eaten the pony it was with. Why not? By now, the fear that Twist, Snails, and Pipsqueak had been feeling was starting to wear thin. They spent all night terrified so far. It was a sort of the point of Nightmare Night. It wasn't supposed to be this scary. They weren't supposed to actually be afraid for their lives. But after several hours of not seeing the bug thing, the fear had become a background thing, a sense of dread. But it was no longer an overriding thing, an emotion driving them to either fight or flight. They could think.
"We should head back to Ponyville," Snail said. "Some point we'll be able to figure out which is the real Dinky and which is the monster."
Pipsqueak agreed, but Twist shook her head, setting aside trying to figure out why the monster hadn't eaten one of them at the moment. She said, pointing to the back of the shed, or rather beyond it. She took in a breath and thought carefully about her next words, how she wanted to say them. She would conquer her lisp. "The Everfree Forest is right there, so we're as far from Ponyville as we can be. The bug thing would have a lot of time to escape, then come back disguised as one of us again. They only have to be right back where we started." She smiled at having said so much without her lisp breaking through. "I'm sorry, Twist, I know you're trying, but it's cuter to voice you this way." Snails and Pipsqueak both considered, but slowly nodded, understanding Twist's reasoning. One Dinky, the one that still had the monster's goop on her hooves and a little around her face, held up a hoof. She also taking off her eel wolf costume, or at least the fake paws. She kept the faux pelt on for warmth. "But we can't be until some point finds us," she said. "It's feeling like my mama's really worried. I don't want to disappear for the whole night."
"Does she let me seize the monster?" Snails asked. "Since she wants to go back?"
"No," Pipsqueak said, before Dinky, who had spoken, could indeed said, "'Cause that's a good reason to want to go back. The real Dinky would want to go back to her mum." "I do," the other Dinky said. She kept her fake wolf costume fully on. The other Dinky turned to glare at her, but that Dinky ignored as she looked at Snails. "I'm glad to make you feel one. I told you my mama's name, my sister's, and my dad's. I told you about the fight I got into school with last year. How could the monster know it?" The goop-covered Dinky's eyes widened, then she turned to Twist. "But I told you that," she exclaimed. The goop-covered Dinky's eyes widened, then he turned to Twist. "But I told you that," she exclaimed. I told the bug monster before he attacked me, so I could expect to skunk at me, set me in the hole, they got it to Snails." Twist put a hope to her chin as she thought. "What else did you tell it?" she asked. "If you're the real you, that is." Then Dinky leaned back a little, glancing up. "I'm not," she said. The monster kept asking me. I thought it was you, and I was really scared, and I wanted to prove it was me, so I told you everything I could think of to prove it." Twist had a sinking feeling in her stomach. She looked to Snails. Snails," she said, with the hoof of Dinky, who was covering the group. Did you and Dinky talk on the way here?" Snails thought a moment, then nodded.
"Well, whispered. We talked about lots of stuff. I don't really remember what, but I mean mostly the Everfree monster, but..."
"Bugger!" Pipsqueak hissed, stomping one hoof. Snails looked down.
"It's not a bug. Only Hyper order insects are bugs, and..."
"That's what I want," Pipsqueak said, stopping Snails before he could go on for too long. "I mean," he pointed at the goop-covered Dinky. "That's the real Dinky. Now she told the bug thing a lot about her. And that's the bug thing," he pointed to the other Dinky. "You probably helped to fill in a lot of gaps after they captured Dinky. It might know everything about Dinky, or at least everything we know about Dinky.
But what if the one I was with was real? Snails asked. Since you were with Twist the whole time, that Dinky, he pointed to the goop cover hose, wouldn't know all that much about Dinky at all.
He's a king,
The goop cover Dinky said.
He's gross. My mama grew up in Philly. Her mama's name is Medley. And she grew up in Las Vegas.
Your pony shook their head in disappointment. Bugger, Piskwick reported.
It's not a bug,
Snails objected again. That's not what bugger means.
Now what's it mean?
I've got it, Twist said before the argument could blossom out of control. The two Dinkies started, as Twist looked between the two of them. I know how to prove Twist Dinky is the real Dinky. So he walked up to the one still in full costume, looking at her intently. What would the other Dinky say if I asked her who the monster is? That Dinky's eyelids fluttered a few times.
She said I was the monster?
Yep, the other Dinky confirmed wholeheartedly. Aha! Twist exclaimed as he pointed at Dinky. That means you're the monster. The goop-covered Dinky's eyes widened.
Wing, wing,
She demanded. Yeah, I'm confused too, Piskwick added. Snails nodded as well. Twist felt pretty proud of herself for figuring this out. Because, she said, if this Dinky is the monster, she pointed to the one who asked the question, then she told me the other Dinky would tell me that she is the monster, which means she was the monster. But if this was the real Dinky, then she told me that the other Dinky would say she's the, Twist paused, thinking, wait, I have to figure it out. If she's real, then she's about...
Hey, Dinkies,
Snail said as Twist tried to figure out her own logic puzzle. It made sense in her head.
remember last week when we went shopping for Nightmare Night costumes?
mm-hmm.
Both said, glancing at each other as they did.
And remember when we bumped into Diamond Tiara, and she was being all mean and stuff, because Skirtaloo was in the next aisle? And she kept talking about how Skirtaloo was probably going to go dressed as Rainbow Dash like last year?
Yeah.
The Dinky, still covered in her costume, said.
No.
The other group covered Dinky said.
I mean, he might have said that.
You gotta remember, Snails insisted, smiling. Diamond Tiara ended up getting costume bits so she could dress as a princess, because she didn't want to leave the aisle and be in the same one as Skirtaloo.
One Dinky laughed a little at Snails' story, while the other scratched their head. Then noticed Twist, Snails, and Piskwick all staring at her intently.
That doesn't prove anything.
The goop-covered Dinky exclaimed, eyes going wide.
It was last week, and I wasn't trying to remember anything.
The other Dinky was screaming.
Yeah, but I remember all of it.
That Dinky exclaimed proudly.
So that means...
You're in a fake,
Snails said, matter-of-factly, pointing at Dinky still covered as an eel wolf. The Yellow Falls all started, as the eel wolf Dinky backed away a couple of steps. What? The elf demanded. Snails shrugged.
I made up the stuff about what Diamond Tiara said. It was fake. The real Dinky can't have remembered it because it never happened.
4 sets of eyes turned on Dinky dressed as an eel wolf, while the goop-covered one backed away from her, getting closer to the other foals. The eel wolf Dinky glanced at her pendulum in sock. But... Are you sure? Piskwick asked, looking at Snails, though for a moment he didn't want to take her eyes off of the eel wolf Dinky. Snails nodded.
Positive.
The 4 foals all stood together now, grinning triumphantly, until it dawned on them that, having successfully figured out which Dinky was the fake one, they now had to deal with the fact that they were standing in a small shed with a monster from Everfree. The realization, and terror that came with them, hit them almost all at the same time, and almost as one they stepped back. The goop-covered Dinky started for the door, then to the shed, but noticed the other Dinky was standing between the 4 of them and the exit. She let out a eep at the sight of the realization. Eel Wolf Dinky's ears flattened against her skull as the sound of terror built, even as her eyes widened as she stooped down. She backed up against the door and let out an equine hiss, tongue lolling out, far too long and forked. A green glow flashed over her. Once again, they were looking at the chitlin-covered, old insectile monster. It hopped backwards, feet planting themselves on the door and the wall, perching there like a spider, its neck bending at a completely unnatural angle, so that its head could remain facing at them. You know, guys, I've seen photos of Oculus, She doesn't really look that scary. The falls all let out a shout of panic, backing away to the furthest corner of the wall. I mean, out of all the changelings, she's the one that makes the Mothra look work. Okay, she's the one that makes it work the most. Mainly because she looks simply adorable. Look at her! Bing! See? The falls all let out a shout of panic, backing away into the furthest corner from the door, being careful of the mat that covered the tunnel to the monster's lair.
Okay, so now what?
Snails asked. The thing hissed again, and the foals buzzed together even higher.
I don't know,
Twist exclaimed. She glanced at the shed's window, but it was tiny, more decorative than anything. Pipsqueak might have been able to fit through, and Snails might have been lanky enough with effort, but not Dinky, and certainly not Twist herself. The smallest foal perked up a little.
Snails, likely,
He called,
cover us, twist, buck the wall.
He emphasized his point by raising his hind hooves and bucking hard with both of them against the wall. The wood dented and splintered against the Earth-Party's kick. Twist joined in a moment later. The reaction from the monster was instant, its eyes glowing wider.
No, escape, love, foes.
It detached from the wall, wings buzzing so fast it seemed to be almost invisible as it took to the air. Dinky and Snail stepped forward, however, horns glowing brightly. Dinky grabbed the nearest object in the shed with her telekinesis, a drawer, pulled it out, skipped out whatever inside, turned out to be screwdrivers of various sizes. She hurled it forward with all her telekinetic might. Unfortunately, that wasn't a whole lot in this instance. The tools flew forward, but only slightly impacted the monster, though at least enough to drive back a foot or two. Snail grabbed one or two off the ground, and himself with his own magic and sent them flying up. His own magic wasn't any stronger than Dinky's, and he couldn't grab nearly as many things at once. But he did manage to get one of the screwdrivers to strike at the base of the monster's left wing. The monster let out a hiss of pain as it fell to the floor, though it landed easily started forward. Snails picked up another screwdriver and tried to aim for the thing's huge eyes, but the creature's own horn glowed green and grabbed at the screwdriver, stopping it. Those Snails kept pushing away. Another screwdriver, the one wrapped in Dinky's lavender glow, came at from another side. The thing's green aura grabbed at one as well, but it stopped its advance, bracing itself, as though this were a physical rather than magical contest. Its eyes widened when it started losing. The two screwdrivers slowly inching forward. Without a hiss, it ducked to let go of the screwdrivers at the same time, and went stealing over its head and embedded themselves in the far wall. Dinky tried to grab at another tool, but the monster acted first. Green aura grabbing all the scattered screwdrivers and pulling them back and behind it. The effort, however, seemed to stagger it, as it remained leaning down on its knees, panting heavily. Before it looked back at the foals, eyes narrowing, it hissed again. Dinky braced herself, but as he felt her tail being grabbed, she allowed a yelp as she looked behind her, and found Pipsqueak had grabbed her tail in his teeth. He and Twist had made a hole in the sheds big enough for all of them. He grabbed her and was now jumping out, powerful earth-binding muscles pulling her along for the ride. It hurt, as in the broken woods she was dragged past. But in another moment she was out into the cool night air again. Dinky stood quickly, looking back in as her horn glowed bright. She helped Snails grab an entire cabinet and hurled it telekinetically, but he couldn't throw the cabinet very fast, and the monster was easily able to dodge by using its wings to glide sideways. Then lunged for Snails. He let out a huge shout of fright and strike back, but Twist was there, turning around delivering a solid buck to the monster with her hind legs. It went flying away, landed on the ground with a crash, facing away from them. Dinky almost thought they were safe, but then the thing jerked and its head snapped around to face them, while the rest of its body turning, a move that surely would have snapped the pony's neck completely. It hissed at them, forked tongue reaching a good 2 feet from his body as it did.
Why we been like that?
Dinky demanded as Snails hurried through the hole, followed by Twist, while the monster stood up, head snapping back around a little more normal position. It charged forward and crashed through the hole, coming out of the top, rolling a little before staggering to its feet.
Run!
Pipsqueak exclaimed.
No!
Twist counted, reaching out and stopping the colt before he could.
If we run, you'll start to run into us again.
She turned back to face the monster, eyes narrowing.
We can't stop it!
Pipsqueak gulped, but a glance at Dinky and Snails let him see that the other two had apparently reached the same conclusion. Steeling himself, he turned around, facing the monster and trying to draw upon all his bravery. He swam with sharks once more in the southern sea. That had been way scarier. At least he tried to convince himself of that. The monster glanced between the four of them, eyes wide again. Only he stood up straighter and leaned forward, taking a deep breath and tongue lolling out.
Yes,
He said in a whole voice.
brave, tasty, more, Mars.
It stopped a hoof and hissed and charged forward. Dinky and Snails both slapped out with telekinesis, but it launched itself into the air over their auras and landed among them, right next to Twist. Before she could react or do anything but scream, the creature was on her, hole-filled hose pushing her back onto her back, so the creature could hiss at her face, tongue sticking out, green goop and more normal-looking saliva falling down on her. She screamed. The monster hissed, eyes widening as it fell backwards and away at Twist's scream. It didn't notice Pipsqueak had come up and bucked it firmly in the face, but tumbling away again. But I turned to face Pipsqueak easily, mouth open wide and roaring. Pipsqueak let out a yelp of fright and backed away. The monster let out a hiss of its own as it stood, taking up a defensive posture again. Twist felt her heart hammering in her chest as she got to her hose, but tried to force her mind to work past that. The monster had knocked her over, had her dead to rights, but when she screamed, it backed away. And I didn't seem to mind Pipsqueak's buck all that much. But when he shouted in fear, it had suddenly gotten defensive. And earlier, it revealed itself first when Dinky had been mad at Pipsqueak for lying to them. Dinky had been standing over it, shouting as mad as it could be, and it reacted like it was under attack. And just now, it said brave, tasty. Why hadn't eaten snails? The monster had been with snails alone for hours, but only revealed itself when it had no choice. It had captured Dinky, but only put her in a hole instead of feasting.
It doesn't want to eat us, she realized. It doesn't want to eat us!
The monster's gaze still on Twist and his roars.
No, I think it does.
Dinky attempted. Twist shook her head.
I mean, not us,
Twist said.
It's feeding on our feelings.
She glanced at her friends.
That's why it didn't eat snails like you're thinking. It doesn't care about us. It's eating our bravery, or our happiness, or our love. That's why it keeps shouting about love. It doesn't love to eat foes. It wants love to eat fun foes.
The creature hissed again, mouth open wide, tongue lolling out as it kept its eyes on Twist.
Yes,
It hissed, stepping forward.
more.
Twist was surprised that the creature was targeting her now. She's really pretty good about herself.
And I think that if it eats love,
She said. Closing her eyes and thinking hard. She focused on the monster, on everything that had put her and her friends through tonight. All the anger, the fear, the hate she felt. Creature's eyes grew wide, tongue shooting back into his mouth as backpedaled away from Twist.
Stop!
Twist put a wicked grin that matched the wizard's costume she wore.
It hates hate, she said. It can only eat good feelings. Bad ones hurt it. Anger, hate, fear.
Now, I know in the comments somebody was talking about Crystal's plan when she started capturing people and capturing ponies and how was it going to get love from all that fear, hate, yada, yada, yada. I'm surprised nobody thought about it. Okay, not surprised. I'm surprised people. There are days when I see context clues and nobody notices, and those times I'm just smiling and nodding and thinking, why don't these people notice these things? But the answer is there in the previous episode. Remember? Chrysalis was messing with Shiny's mind. Let's just say she just doesn't grab them, put them into those cocoons, and put them into a happy little dream where all those positive emotions show up. Come on. Not that hard, really.
Maybe they just don't want to think about those context clues.
No, I seem to be the only one who does. The other three foals looked away from Twist and the monster for a moment, then to each other. As one, they nodded, then turned to the monster, doing what Twist had done, focusing on this nightmare night. The nightmare night that the monster had ruined by being so scary, so frightening. They looked at the terror that you feel of being haunted, the anger of having something that was supposed to be good taken away from them, the hate. The reaction was immediate. The thing recoiled like it had been hit, staggering, coughing, retching like it had tasted something unpleasant. It stumbled backwards, trying to put distance between itself and the foals.
Stop! Stop it! Zzz.
The foals advanced, Twist taking one step at first. But when that produced a flinch from the monster, they all advanced at one, charging at it, roaring in anger, trying to put that monster in the forefront. The monster's eyes widened, even as it seemed like it was about to throw up, and it turned and fled, wings buzzed, trying to get lift, but it stumbled as dry heave overcame it. Those a few moments, the creature run to a problem. The fence that separated Green Gray's field from the everfree forest. Its front hose collided with the fence, and it started heaving again before getting up. Some kind of green caustic goo splattered over the chicken wire, started melting through it. It turned around to look at the foals. Found them all on top, staring down at it.
You ruined Nightmare Night!
Twist exclaimed.
You'll pretend to be me!
Pipsqueak shouted.
You tricked me for hours,
Snail said.
You screaming things!
Dinky ended. The monster glanced between the four of them at fear. Rear hose scrabbling at the dirt, even as its front hose reached back and tried to pull out the metal wire, weakened by the ooze it had spit out.
Stop! Stop, hurts! Stop, please!
Twinkie, Twist, and Pipsqueak almost did, but they were caught up in the moment. Their emotions they were channeling, and the fact that the thing had been haunting them, scaring them witless all night, was finally on the defensive, finally scared, finally hurt. Later, they would think it was wrong. You shouldn't be like this. Right now, in the moment, it felt good. Conquest, why are you smiling? Oh, you know why I'm smiling. But the snails, the creature looked like it hurt. Scared, panicked animal. Snails liked animals. His cueing mark was communicating with them. He knew that this creature, whatever it was, had just been hungry, just trying to feed itself. Some part of Snail's mind even knew that the monster hadn't wanted to scare them. After all, it didn't like the taste of fear. If it really did feel love and joy and happiness, it hadn't meant to take it away from him. Snails felt sorry for it. The creature had compound eyes, but somehow Snails knew that it was looking right at him. Not his friends. The wire behind it finally snapped at his clawing, and the ooze spat on it. Fell backwards through it, and to the other side of the fence. It never broke eye contact with Snails.
I'm sorry.
It buzzed, turned to flee into the everfree forest. It was over.